Welcome to TAO-Living, the Art of Living podcast with your host, Corleto, where you will be supported to remember that you are the driver and not the vehicle, so that you can walk your life in trust. Welcome back to this episode of the TAO-Living podcast, the Art of Living. And today I am blessed to have my guest speaker with me, Mr. Storm Sims, who, his background is quite impressive. 28-year veteran U.S. military. Good Lord, I'd have to even read like his master fitness trainer, a Spartan SGX coach. Well, I have to get clarity with martial arts instructor, military combatives instructor, parkour instructor, and now accumulating into his role as a ninja warrior instructor. So I think that translates to badass. And there's a couple things when I first met Storm, the things that popped me right away, which were his personal desire to constantly improve himself. And as you folks know, for following the TAO-Living podcast, that's my journey, which is never-ending, constant improvement, right? To discover who I am at the next level. Where are my fears? Where am I hiding out? Where am I playing small? To challenge that and to keep expanding my capacities. And then as I do that, to do my best to share that with everybody else who wants to stay on that journey. So the fact that that's his running theme, there was that core resonance. And there's two pieces I want to, there's a lot. And this man's got the depth of knowledge. Yeah, this could be a 7-week interview. So we'll look at some part ones and part twos. Storm is also the head coach and owner of a beautiful gym in Clarksville, Tennessee, where he does these trainings across the border. And we'll unpack more of that when I shut up in a second. He starts talking. But what I love is the gym's mission, which is to teach practical and tactical embodiment to enhance physical and mental emotional resilience. Like, mwah! I'm like, yes!
It's in, man.
Yeah. And here's the culmination of that, which was to provide people with the right mindset and training so anybody can overcome their challenges, right?
Exactly.
Boom. Cool.
It's on it, man.
Yeah. So that's the context that I want to play with. So first of all, thank you for being here, my friend. And
that was an awesome intro, bro. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Like, man, I've done all of that. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's like, that guy's pretty cool. I'd like to meet him. So let's dive in, like right off the bat. Let's go deep, which is how, for the average person who might not be, even if they're training, but they haven't engaged into the next level of that connection, is how does movement and activation of the body increase our mental emotional capacities?
Well, I mean, literally just by moving, and there's a ton of studies that are out there and stuff like that. There's university studies and hospital studies and all that stuff. But the basics down behind it is that your body was made to move. That is just the baseline, bottom line of everything. Your body was made to move, all the way from, you start thinking about thousands of years ago and everything, you start talking about hunter-gatherer and stuff like that. Our bodies were truly made to move. And with that movement, not to get all the super technical parts on there, but the chemicals that happen in your brain and the neural processes, the dopamine, the adenine, all of these things that put you into a flow state, that get you moving. As you are moving, your body is like, I like this. I want more of this. And it literally, over a period of time, it actually starts to crave it. So you get a compounding effect on that. Your body is like, hey, your muscles are sore when you first start training, when you first start working out, but the brain on there can literally start to become, in a good way, addictive to moving and addicted to working out. And that's actually a great addiction to kind of, to kind of be in and to kind of have. So that's kind of one of the big pieces about it, that your body actually wants to move. Your body was not designed to be stationary,
Mm,
sedentary,
mm.
sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours and just like, typing away and stuff like that. Yeah, sitting down for some time, 100%. We got to take care of business, but outside of that, boom, getting up, moving, even if it's just a walk, not even doing what I do, what I do when with my students jumping around on obstacles, but just getting outside, being in nature, going for a walk, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying when it's raining outside, and even going for a walk, because I mean, you got to have a little bit of faith. Like, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna go walk, even though it's raining outside, So it starts to work on that brain capacity and changing how you see things, how you see life, and how you think.
Yes, sir. The and Storm, you can rip it like on this podcast. It is, it's opening the doors for us all to grow, right? So even the science techno stuff, right? Everything's game. So, ladies and gentlemen, for sure, right? The reconnection of the societal disconnection of the mind body spirit complex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can grow this stuff, but I live a sedentary lifestyle. That ain't happening, right? So
Correct.
the old adage, move, use it or lose it, is across the border.
Yes. 100.
And I can grow my mind all I want, but if I'm not activating my body at the same time, that capacity is limited.
Mm-hmm.
So because it is a fully connected spectrum. We
Yes.
separate it in words, but that's not reality. And so the more, as Storm was just saying, the more we activate this, right? The more, so especially in our society that has become very sedentary. And boy, I got into a phase of that when I went from an athlete to then I went into the professional student status for a while, and then study, 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 and I stopped moving the way I did, train 2 hours a day from to nothing. Oh my gosh, like
Mm-hmm.
my capacity to even learn started to drop off, right?
Yep. Yes.
So
Yes.
what is it specifically to that in your world that you focus on in the sense of not just training, but obstacle training and capacity movement, parkour, doing things that is outside of normally going to the gym, right? That's great. Going to the gym is a level of workout, cardiovascular, physical fitness.
Mm-hmm.
The next level of movements that you are a master in and teach your students to, what what does that give the individual when they engage in that?
So it actually helps them in a lot of aspects of life. Okay, now, and this will sound really weird when I say this, but it does. It helps them out in a lot of aspects of life, because essentially what happens is when we come in the gym and we do a lot of body weight training. We do a lot of what's called quadrupedal movements. So we're using our hands and our feet. We're moving around and working on all of that. And essentially, what it does is it opens up the door to a lot of things happening in life. So with some of my more seasoned folks. Okay, so I'm in my 50s right now. I've got people that are in my gym that are in their 60s that with us. I've had people that are in my gym that are in their 70s that have trained with us. And through that movement and stuff, it helps them out on, at the most base level, just a good quality of life. When you're 60 or 70 years old, being able just to bend down, pick up a bag of groceries, put it up on top of the counter, and then moving it from the counter up into the shelves, and your body is functioning and doing what it's supposed to. I mean, that in and of itself is awesome. That's great, you know. So when we're doing that, being able to move your body out of a burning building. Okay. Fire catches on house, apartment catches on house and stuff. We do quadrupedal movements. We're down on the floor. We're kind of army crawling, or we're crawling on it. We're doing bear crawls. A lot of the things that we did growing up, you're down there, you're moving everything. We actually teach that. We get back into some of the core items of when we were little and it used to be play. we try to incorporate that play aspect back in with a lot of our adult programs, and then with the kid programs, we keep them going right now. So
Beautiful. Yeah. So thank you for that clarity. And for me, a part that when you shared, it's like, wow, back to the like what's happened in society when you said, I get it. And the fact that a 60 plus, so in 2 weeks I turned 60, that a 60-year-old picks up a bag of groceries, puts it in a thing and goes overhead and does this and like without, it's like, really? Like that's because I'm a skydive instructor. I still jump.
dude, I love skydiving.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
right.
yeah,
So,
we're gonna definitely go.
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah,
gonna definitely
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah, right. So I mean, I'm like, we just took a group to Finland to do part of our capacity upgrade, and we were diving under 3 feet of ice and just wet in a bathing suit, right? So swimming under the ice, breath hold, like that level of challenge capacity, and it's this. For me, right, it's a societal thing as well. We hit a certain age, and now we're supposed to start, just settle, give up, and start melting away, right? Like, no, 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 no,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I love that you bring forward is going, no, 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 no. And so, because the mindset, right, in society is, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You're getting older, right? It's by not moving, you get older,
Yes.
right? Don't worry about the
100%.
numbers on the birth certificate.
Mhm.
But when you stop moving, when you stop challenging yourself, you get older,
Yes.
right? So we don't get older anyhow. So that activation is what keeps your body stronger, right? So if you trip and fall down, you don't break
Mhm.
because your
Right.
body
Yeah.
has the capacity to respond to that challenge because you've been challenging it
Yeah.
with movement.
Yeah. And we actually, it's funny. It's not funny, haha, but it's funny that you say that because during our parkour classes and some of our training, we actually teach people how to properly fall,
Mm.
how to properly roll. So that way, people that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they actually learn how to fall and roll. And so they get up and so they don't break a hip and so they don't break a knee or they don't push off injury in their wrist and bust their wrist open and stuff. So we actually teach them how to be able to, I'm walking, my foot comes out from underneath me, I slide on some ice, whatever, slip on some water, and boom, we start those specifics so that way they can go into a roll or they can go into a mean where, yeah, the muscles might be sore, but they're not going to break anything. It's really good that you said that you actually said that.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you for offering all this for your community and the community at large. Because I know you have your physical place that you train, but you also travel through competition and events, and also through your YouTube channel that you share information that people can follow on workouts with you.
Mhm.
The so again, ladies and gentlemen, the big piece, especially if you're getting up in the seasoned. I like it.
Yep, seasoned. We're
If
not we're
you're
not old. We're
I was trying to be
seasoned, bro.
politically, yeah, I was going to say if you're starting to get to be like an old fart like me, so seasoned, I love that. Experienced. The societal piece is really heavy with the driving of the fear. Be cautious, stop. The more you buy into that, the less you're going to do, which actually is counter. That's going to set you up for all kinds of stuff, right? Because then the mind's not being activated, the body's not being activated. So the best thing you can do is to actually challenge yourself, not stop challenging yourself, increase challenging yourself, right? So the mind for learning, the body for activating, because when you can, the feeling, right? So I know that your students, especially the new ones that come in that are seasoned, that place where they don't trust their body anymore. And then after a short period of time of training, they're like, oh, right, they're back in it and it works again. Now they can
Yes.
trust it. And that level of confidence that builds from being able to do, oh, I can trust this thing again.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. We get so kind of like you were saying, a lot of people when they hit 40, then it's like oh my God, 40 years old, it's downhill. That's why everybody, 40, oh my God, it's downhill, it's downhill, it's down here. And I'm like, bro, no, you are just getting your second win right now, man. You got plenty of time. And so yeah, we get them in the gym, and we get them not only in the gym, but we also outside. We're in the parks. We actually go, I take the entire gym, we go out to the parks, we're moving around in there, we're out in nature, we're doing stuff. But when we get them out there and we got them moving and they start trusting their body, you literally not only see the physical change in them, they're standing up a little bit taller. They're differently, their bodies responding, but the mental piece, you really see it start to just radiate out
Mm,
of their body and stuff on there. Their confidence is up and stuff like that. They know they can handle themselves. And then, especially for men, for gentlemen and stuff, with us, you know, we want to be able with our families, protect our families, provide for our families, stuff like that. Even, I've got folks that are in their, 40s, 50s, 60s that, they've totally changed. I know I can take care of business if I have to take care of business to protect my family, get them out of danger, pull my, kids or my, spouse or who, but whatever the case may be, they feel and they gain that confidence. And then and our ladies are the same way when we're doing our ladies and their self-defense classes and stuff, because now they're starting to move again. You just see them just start to boom, come back up, with our ladies, man. And it's totally awesome.
that's beautiful. Again, thank you for offering that. The Right. So, listening audience, what Storm just described, so that's the physicality in the mind. But remember, that's now impacting the immune system, right? So now the immune system's coming online. It has a greater capacity because when I start going into lack of movement, sluggish thinking, lack of confidence, that depresses my immune system. This isn't theory, that's fact.
Fact.
When we come back online, and as you just saw Storm describe, poof, like people go, whoa, because they now feel themselves again. It kicks into that confidence competence loop. I feel better. I trust myself. I trust myself. I feel better. And now I'm doing more. Well, all of that activates everything in your physiology. So
Yes.
the brain is kicking in, the immune system is kicking in. You're creating now a whole different level of neurochemistry, physiology, and as the cutting edge science of epigenetics says, you're now activating genes that produce more vitality and well-being. You're not stuck and trapped by the old DNA genetic determinacy theory. And
Right.
so a large part of what Storm, what he's offering massively impacts that capacity to activate, shut down genes that aren't healthy and activate the ones that are.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I always telling my folks and stuff. It's like when we're in here and we're moving, the one thing that and they've done studies on this, literally, people looking at themselves on their last, minutes, their last hours before they pass and they go on and stuff. And it's not, and when they regret things, it's that they're regretting the things that they didn't do. I should have done this. I should have been more, I should have done this more. I should have done these things more. And a lot of them deal around family, movement, going out and doing things like, man, yeah, I should have went and did skydiving. I should have went and did these other things. And a lot of the stuff evolves around their family and moving. Not that, oh, I should have made another, money is important. Yes, 100% in today's society, but it's not like, oh man, I should have made another $300,000. I should have stayed at work more and worked more hours.
Yeah.
It's all about, I should have done these things and got reckless. One of my best things when it's time for me to leave this earth, man, and I go and meet my makers, I'm like, hey, I want to go. I used to play hockey when I was younger, so I want to go sliding into the net, beat up, busted up, and be like, oh yeah, that was awesome. I
Glide
had a
in
great
wild
life. That
ride.
was
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
It's like the
That was a
best
wow.
friend.
Yeah.
I've got three grandkids, and every time I see them, we're out at the park, we're out at the playground and stuff like that. Grandpa, we're gonna go. We're gonna go out and go. Heck yeah, baby girl, we're gonna. I'm on there in the playground with him. I'm diving down off the slides. I'm on with the monkey bars with him. We're bopping all around. So my three grandkids are staying active, and moving, and we're teaching them to do that from a very young age, so it becomes normal for them. And the main thing with a lot of the folks, kids nowadays and stuff, is to make this something that's just so normal for them that they won't even consider stopping, type deal.
Yeah, and so, ladies and gentlemen, what a different mindset there. If you just heard, which is the unfortunately, especially in the Western culture, the average seasoned person is like, oh, I should start improving my well-being so I can play with my grandkids. No, what Storm's talking about is embarrassing your grandkids because they can't keep up with you, right?
Right on.
When you're
Yep.
when you're out, Grandpa, slow down, right? Like, no, 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 no. So that's a whole different reality, is to keep your system functioning at maximum capacity. So going back to something you just said earlier, Storm, the reason partly I was laughing with you was I've been sharing with my audience a long time. There's a beautiful book called The Five Regrets of the Dying, where this hospice nurse started to watch the regrets, right? People are making their transition. And it was just bam, 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 hence the top five regrets of the dying. And number one, because they were in priority, and number one is, I wish I would have lived a life true to myself, not one that others expected of me.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Oh,
100%. Yes.
and yeah, and so that whole place is, oh, become, become responsible, become the adult, and now what? Go through life. No, 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 no. No, keep apexing, right? Keep finding that
Exactly.
next layer of who you be, what's possible for me now. And that's across the border, right? But it begins with, if when we ruin this, where are you going to live, right?
Exactly.
And so that whole complex, grow the mind, grow the body, grow the spirit. And when that's happening, then you've just opened up the doors to new possibilities, new opportunities to experience life. Mwah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, 100%. So, oh, and speaking about a book, here's two good books that would be great for your audience and stuff. Book by a gentleman by the name of Vishen Lakhiani, who is the CEO and founder of Mind Valley. For
Yep.
those that have heard of Mind Valley out there, his one of the book called Code of the Extraordinary Mind, and then the other one is called The Buddha and the Badass.
Mm.
You want to talk about opening up everything across the board, and like it literally opens up a whole nother deal of being able to challenge the social norm, making you the best version of yourself. I mean, it literally, you start kicking in, combining, brain, higher capacity thinking, higher capacity movement, everything across the board. Those two books are outstanding.
Beautiful. Thank you for the suggestion. Sure. I will also put those in the show notes under this episode. So I appreciate you adding to the resource collection. Yeah. If you, I'll throw this at you. So years ago, somebody threw this at me. They're like, okay, Lou, you got a lot of tools in your toolbox when you work with your clients. If you could only have three, if you could only use three, what would you use? I went, oh, good question, right? If I had to, because there's a lot of amazing things to access to support somebody, and so when I delved in, I came down to like three core pillars. I'm like, okay, cool. So if you could only utilize three tools or pillars with your students and clients, and what would you default to?
Okay, so my this first one is an easy one because this is what we use, and we actively use this in the gym right now, is I would give them a framework in which to be able to overcome obstacles. Okay, and I'll kind of do a little bit of back on this. So basically, you get a lot of people, whether it's the kids, the teenagers, and even a lot of our adults, they will see a challenge, they will see an obstacle, they will see some kind of something in front of them, okay, be it a physical something or a mental something. Okay, they'll see something in front of them. And especially when it comes to the kids in the gym, and even some of the adults, oh, I can't get this. I can't. This is too hard. I can't. So what we do in the gym is we give them and we work with them on a framework in which to be able to take this big, giant, huge obstacle, huge challenge that's in front of them, and we get them to break it down. Okay. All right. So instead of going, here, we'll use the rings as an example. There are 5 or 6 rings that they got to go on and they got to swing on them, stuff like this. All right. What is the very next step that you would need to do in order to get this? Oh, well, I need to grab here, and then move my hips. Okay. So that's all I want you to focus on for this next week, 3 days, whatever it is. Focus on that, just that 1%. And then, okay, what's the next part? 1%. 1%, 1%, and it keeps compounding, compounding, compounding until now they've accomplished the whole entire challenge or the whole obstacle. Because when they look at the entire thing, anxiety kicks
Overwhelming.
in,
Yeah.
overwhelm kicks in, everything like that. But when we teach them that framework to break it down, now they can take this obstacle that was this giant, massive thing, and they can break it down into tiny, tiny parts. And then that in and of itself, that framework transfers over out of the gym and into real life, in particular for my adults, but it works great with the kids too, because now they can actually look at something and they go, okay, instead of this whole giant thing, oh man, I've got these 5 projects that I've got to do at work, and I've got this other kind of thing going on here, and I got this other kind. All right, what do I need to do to break this thing down to get 1% and get this part and then get to the next part? And now it gives them momentum. It gives them something to go on so they don't have to worry about. And then literally in a short amount of time, boom, they've accomplished that challenge, that obstacle, whatever it happened to be. So that would be my first one that I would work on that. The second one that I would learn, or that I would say, is be a lifelong learner. Mm. If whenever you stop learning, okay, and when I say learning, I'm not just talking about book learning, but I like any type of learning. I'm learning new skills, working ClickFunnels. I'm learning new skills in my movement. I'm learning new skills in my meditation practice, whatever it happens to be. Be a lifelong learner. It's been shown through a ton of scientific studies that when we stop learning, literally your brain will start to atrophy. It also starts causing Alzheimer's and dementia and like all other kinds of just negative processes, because as long as you are learning, your brain is firing and rewiring the neural connections and everything that's going on up in here, because your brain is, if you're learning, it's like a muscle. I'm working out, I'm working the muscle. Your brain is the exact same way. If I'm in here learning new pieces, my brain is going to go, I need to learn this mentally. If I'm learning a language, I'm trying to learn how to speak Arabic, I'm trying to learn how to speak Spanish or Swahili or whatever. As long as I'm keeping my brain active and stuff like that, then if my brain's staying active, it's going to help to alleviate that. They've had studies that even people that are at high capacity and high, they're a doctor, they're a lawyer, they're, whomever, but they've gone to all the schooling and then they stop learning, or they're only just doing their normal job, and it's become so routine to them that, okay, I know this like the back of my hand, da, 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 da. And that's why even people with that high level, now this is not the only thing, but it is a very much a contributor to people that have Alzheimer's, dementia, different things like that. My grandmother passed away from dementia and Alzheimer's, and this from the processes that went to, because, she was doing great. She was doing amazing. But she had just stopped learning. So anything that we're doing physically, mentally, emotionally, where we're continuing to learn, is a huge one. And then I would say the third one is, I would say just, movement. back to movement. Keep it moving, because as you're moving your body, the dopamine, the adenine, the endorphins, everything activates the whole body, and it just helps me continue, helps everybody just continue to live longer and longer and longer, and it instead of just being 1 or 2 nations in the world where a lot of the population is getting into the hundreds, let's try multiple nations throughout the world of to be 100 and beyond and having a good lifestyle. They're walking up and down these stairs. They're eating healthy, having good stuff, good nutrition and good food. So yeah, I would say, keeping that movement up, because then that way it'll kind of go with everything.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. I and I love these. And the what I loved as you described. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you caught that, when he described the first one, is giving people a framework on how to overcome obstacles, right? So that's another part of here's training, like going to a gym, to Storm's gym, and doing an obstacle course. Okay, that's physical movements. Like, okay, I learned how to jump over this thing, run through the thing, dive under this, crawl under that. Okay, I'm just training. Are you? Right? That's the thing, is if all you do is train and that you're just training your physical body, you actually limit the capacity of what's happening because of your own intention. I'm just training my physical body. The reality is, by doing those types of movement, especially under the guidance of somebody like Storm, is now we get to translate this into life. So I'm not in the gym anymore, but I've run into an obstacle. How do I get over that? How do I get through that? Right? So he gives a framework because what happens in overwhelm? Boom, I've just left the present moment and now I'm in freak out because it's too much. I can't do this. System just collapses. It locks up. I'm done. Versus, cool, what's the one next step I can take right now? Because that's doable. Take it. Awesome. Now that you're here, right? So this translates into life. And that's the beauty of training with somebody who not only puts you through the process of moving the body, but then incorporates it. And how does this translate into life? Now I take a life skill of being able to manage obstacles, because as long as you have a pulse, you're going to have obstacles. And if you're committed to doing bigger stuff in your life, then the obstacles are bigger. It's a proportional experience, right? Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, all about resistance. Absolutely. So there's a resource if you haven't tapped in Stephen's work. Resistance, how does it show up in our life to stop us from succeeding on the things that we say we're committed to, whatever that is? Your well-being, relationship, creation of this, writing a book. Oh, I'm going to do that. And then, oh yeah, life goes, oh yeah, let's see. Yeah. Do we got a player or just somebody who's, is this lip service? And so when that first option,
are you driven or are you a drifter? Yeah.
So, right. So if I step up and I bail on the first obstacle, resistance sits back down and says, that's just somebody who's talking. There's a lip service. Versus I get knocked down, I get back up and I keep going. Resistance says, we got a player here. Let's come up with another one, right? But then over time, the beauty is that turns into providence and it moves us into the direction of what we're after. So I love this teaching framework, lifelong learning, critical. Too many people, right? Boom, we max out no matter what that capacity is. People get out of high school and they don't read another book. People go to grad school and I become an expert. And now when you're ripe, you're rot. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, I've hit the apex. Ooh, you're about to bottom out. Right?
Yep, gotta keep going.
And so that's the beauty of that consistent learning, again, learning across the border. I love that. And movement, 100%. So, wow. Very, very nice, sir. Nice package. Let's focus a little more on that piece. What have you found are those quintessential nuggets for you when you're coaching somebody to translate into life outside of the gym, mm-hmm. about handling challenges of life? So obstacles, challenges of life, however they show up, right? Besides the framework part you talked about, what is what other pieces, be it mindset or intentionality, to be able to learn, grow, and evolve from the challenges that show up in life? Does that make any sense what I'm asking?
I think so. So one of the things, well, a lot of times we get people that come into our world, and that, yeah, they'll come in, and this is in particular with some of my moms. Okay, so I'll use my moms as an example. We have a body transformation program. We have a body transformation that's part of our program. So we're not doing a lot of obstacles because their self confidence and stuff is not there and everything. And so when to do some of the work with us, might be a 6 week challenge that we're doing, or 8 week or 12 week, and we come in and I interview my people, guys and gals, but a lot of times it does wind up having to be my moms. And so, I'll get to the quick point on this, but what happens is our moms, they sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice so much for their families that they have essentially lost themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost their identity. They've lost who they are. They're not Jennifer. They're, they're Joe's wife. They're, Sarah's mom. They're everybody else but them. So that, and then on top, so they've kind of lost their identity. They've lost their self-confidence a lot of times. And then on top of that, they feel guilty about taking care of themselves too, so they can be the best versions of themselves that they possibly can. So, I know I need to do this, because there's some of my ladies and even my guys. I've had guys that have broken down in front of me, man. I want to be the person that I'm supposed to be the protector of my home, make sure I'm taking care of business, make sure I can take care of my wife and my kids and doing all this and stuff, but I'm broke, I'm lost. So with all of that, and that anxiety and that overwhelm and everything, when we get them in here, we're actually working with them on that mental piece, okay, of changing, because you get hit from society with a lot of negative. Everything, bad news sells. Bad social media sells. The more negative, the more it booms up there. And you can actually get, if you're watching that type of social media, TV, you can get addicted to that negative. You're not doing it consciously, but subconsciously you're allowing it into your brain. And when we start talking about baseline level, the subconscious is what is the operating system. The subconscious, you can tell your brain, you take consciously, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to watch that, oh, I don't believe that. But if you constantly are watching it, the dopamine is pulling you into that negative. So we got a ton of negative going on in our life that's just being pushed to us, beat to us through society, through social media, through sometimes our family and our friends. They want to protect us from going out and achieving better. Yes, I want to start this company, I want to start this business, I want to do these great things. Oh, but you shouldn't do that. Don't you know that 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first years? How are you going to be that one business that succeeds? Our family want to protect us and everything, but it's sometimes they're protecting us by putting this negative piece into us. So when they're coming into the gym, we have to really work with them on that mental piece and on that framework of, I can do this, I can accomplish this, I can move forward. I may not be moving forward in the capacity that I want to, but I am moving forward. And so we work with folks a lot of times. I've had people were previous athletes come in and they train with us. Yeah, I used to be able to lift, I used to be able to swing 1,000 pounds and, we're doing all this. I used to be able to do this and do that. And then they come in and they're like, bro, that 20-pound dumbbell hurt. One of those deals. And so we have to it's like, yeah, dude, okay, hey, man, I totally got it. You haven't done this in a while, but your body's going to remember, and if you've never started it before, then your body's going to get there. And so that 20-pound dumbbell winds up becoming a 25-pound dumbbell. And it goes from 8 reps to 12 reps to now 25 reps. And you keep getting that steady progress. And as long as you're making that steady progress, it compounds on itself, compounds on itself, compounds on itself, and it keeps going. And that's, I'd say, one of the biggest pieces that we can take in the gym, and then it translates into real life. So as we're doing our stuff in real life, I've got this project. It could be something as super simple as, to change out the floor in my kitchen. Get on YouTube. And I've done stuff like this. Like I've changed out the radiator in my car. Like got on YouTube, my car, how to change out a radiator. Boom, I'm looking at it. I watched about 5 videos, went and bought the part from from not Home Depot, from AutoZone, came back, watched the video, took my laptop out there, I'm watching the video. Okay, yep, did that, cranked that, did that. Oh my God, it worked, blew my own mind, So being able, to actually give them that piece that they can win, that can continue to go forward and stuff like that, that there is literally nothing that they cannot do and that they are not capable of. And especially when it comes to physical or financial, that they look towards the long term, not just the short here and now, that they're making progress. There's been a lot of different like studies and people that have studied, wealthy people, ultra rich, or just real good, physically fit athletes. It wasn't that they were just looking at I'm looking at the next 6 months. I'm looking at the next year. They're looking on totally different time horizons of 5 years to 10 years out when it comes to financial. With these athletes, they're not just looking at, okay, I've got to do great right now, but how am I going to go from what am I going to do to go from little league to college to professional? If I want to make that deal, how am I going to train myself? How am I going to eat? If my ultimate goal is to get out here to be a professional athlete, what do I need to do here? And that's where it really starts to come into play, because if I'm just going to 2x my business. This is something that I got from Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who did from 10x is easier than 2x. If I'm only planning on going to college and doing my sport in college, there's 100 different ways to be able to do it. But if my goal is to high school to being a professional athlete in whatever I'm doing, or be a professional, person of doing this, or to be a doctor, what is it that I need to do to look at for these 10 years? There might only be 1 or 2 rock solid things that I need to do to get from here to here. And it's going to jump me, boom, leaps and bounds and stuff to being able to do that. So I would say, outside of the gym, that's where we're really working with our folks on, is to get them out of that overwhelm, get them into that mindset that, yes, they can do it. They are capable, no matter what society says, no matter how much negative is being thrown at them, in our world, because when people look at the American Ninja Warrior, they're looking at it like, I've had people say, there's no way I could do that. Dude, yeah, it takes training. They trained up to that level. They didn't turn around and do that in 2 days. This has been like, a culmination, lots and lots of training, to make it look that easy, to make it, they've done hours and hours and hours of training, of dedication to get there and stuff. And so, yeah, you can do it. We got to practice on it to get to going there. Yeah.
Beautiful. So much yumminess in there, Storm. A couple of things I would like to pin as we're coming to the close for the session, as it's
wow, oh my God, yeah, that was fast.
I just two things. I looked down and saw that the screen froze because I'm looking at the webcam. I went, I've been frozen for I don't know how long. And the other was I saw a time check. I went, wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's so much in there. Like really, especially that last chunk. Re-listen to that section that Storm just shared. What I'd like to highlight a few pieces. One, when I was asking about the framework for obstacles, so from the gym of movement, going through an obstacle course, to how this framework allows me to handle obstacles in my life. But here's the beauty is, as we do this neurologically, then we get more efficient at it. So instead of going, okay, step one now, then step two, then next time it's step one, step five, step eight, because I can integrate and process faster. And then next time I'm at step 10. The next time, right? So the more I keep doing this, the more you keep doing this, your capacity then to handle life. That's what we're talking about. When we increase our capacity, it's not doing the same thing again later. It's I am exponentially growing, so now I can handle life. And what we talked about, right? The challenges of life, because as long as you got a pulse, they're going to be coming.
Exactly.
And so now we've increased our capacity, so I can process stuff in the moment. Boom, right? That's the gift of the consistency and long-term application of all of it: learning, growing, frameworks, movement. So that's a huge piece I wanted to amplify. One of the things that I share with my people, for decades, which is when you're talking about the negativity of the world, is managing our environment, right? What goes in here, what goes in here, and what goes in here is on me, right? So take responsibility for your life, people, right? Just, quit blaming the world. Don't listen to it. Don't watch it, right? Like, control what goes in here. What do you allow into your consciousness? What do you put in your hearts of heart? And what do you feed this temple, right? Boy, right? I mean, that's talking about reclaiming your power. Start there. It's your life. It's your body, right? Take
100%.
take ownership of it, man. Take ownership of it. Yeah. Oh, there's so much yumminess there. I'll quit because this will be another 2 hours. So
Yeah, no, good dude. We'll rock in and we'll do a part 2 or part 3 with him into that, man.
yeah, for sure.
This has been
Yeah, thank you, brother. So in closing, any closing thoughts? I know I just kind of went off the cliff there. I didn't mean to do that. It was just I pulled up and went, hey, so to honor the listening time, right? So we can keep that going. So any closing comments, thoughts, sharings, offerings? And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll have links to Storm's contact information, to his gym, to his YouTube channel, so you can keep, tap into his world, keep learning from this man. And especially if you're local, go play with him. But if not, you can also learn from him in all kinds of ways, through coaching or YouTube channel, learning workouts and movements.
Yeah, I would say for the last part, man, is literally claim your life. Okay, claim your life. Take that. Like if you have in the back of your head somewhere, I want to go take that cruise. Go take that cruise. Don't put okay. Yep. I want to take this cruise, but how am I going to get the money and how am I going to do this? Set the plan in motion. Boom, start putting together. I want to go travel here. I want to go do this thing. Do not wait for whenever. Put the plan in motion, reverse engineer it. Okay, if I want to go on this cruise, this thing, I'll start looking these things up. Do the looking up right now. Start getting active on it. Do whatever it is that you want. Like, even if it's just, I'm going to take a cruise. I've written it down on a piece of paper. And then tonight when I get done with work, all right, now I'm looking it up. How much is it going to cost? What's this going to do? And then reverse engineer it and start putting it together. Take control of your life. We literally only have one life, and we got to grab a hold of it with both hands and just keep going with it in every way, shape, or form, man.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, don't let the dreaded house take you out, people. Don't let the dreaded house ruin your dreams. Storm just said, envision it, know that you deserve it, you're worth it, and just say yes.
Yep.
Say yes, take the first step, and let life keep unfolding for you, right? So yeah, that's beautiful. My friend, thank you for your time. Thank you for who you be and for what you bring to your community and to the world at large. Thank you for sharing it with the TAO-Living podcast audience.
I absolutely loved it, man. Absolutely loved it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And so until we play again next time. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the TAO-Living podcast, The Art of Living, and abundant blessings. Reclaim your life and set yourself free next time. Peace. Ciao.
Y'all be blessed. Boom.
Thank you for tuning in to the TAO-Living podcast, The Art of Living. Now go to loucorleto.com, LOUCORLETO.com, to receive your free training the operator's manual for your vehicle. See, when you buy a phone, you get a manual. When you buy a car, you get a manual. When you entered your body, no manual. Let me teach you how it's really designed to work. Also, help me help others and share this podcast far and wide. And subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Until next time, abundant blessings.